So I was just watching DPD's newest video, and he was making some valid points. Some I agree with, and others I don't really agree with. And I feel like a lot of people are going to lie on one side of the spectrum or the other when it comes to these issues, and it kind of just warrants a discussion to see what people ultimately think about it. And to be completely honest with you guys, I enjoy making this MetaZoo content, and it kind of just gives me something else to talk about, so that's what we're going to do today. Now, the very first point he was making, and probably the biggest thing he mentioned, was the fact he believes they never should have changed the booster box design, because now it's clashing with the booster packs themselves. Because if you aren't already aware, they did change the booster boxes, but they're still giving us the original booster packs from the original design. So now we got red booster packs clashing with the blue booster boxes. And you can arguably say, in its entirety, it looks worse off now than it ever did. It looks more like a knockoff or amateur-like than it did before. I get that argument. I'm a stickler, man. I want everything to be perfect. It's a mismatch. It's a hodgepodge. It's an eyesore. I get it. I get that argument 100%. But at the same time, you got to understand the very first thing that people are going to see is that booster box. If they walk into a store and they're walking down an aisle, that booster box is what's going to catch their eye. And if it catches their eye at that very moment, they have to decide, do I want to buy this or not? Especially if they never even heard of MetaZoo before. That's very important, right? That's a very important moment. And if you give us that old booster box and throw it on a shelf, is that going to attract people? Probably not. They're probably going to walk right by it. They might even run away from it because that's how hideous it was, in my personal opinion. The same thing goes for a website, right? If you're on a website trying to buy some Pokemon or One Piece or Dragon Ball Super or what have you, and you come across MetaZoo for the very first time, you see that old booster box, are you going to buy it? Probably not. You see the new one, you might be enticed to do so. You might actually be intrigued to want to buy it, right? It's very important, right? It's the very first thing they're going to see. That's how you're marketing your brand. You got to put your best foot out there. And honestly, guys, they're not going to see the booster packs. They're inside the box. They're not going to see those until they buy the box and crack it. That's just the reality, right? So if you want this thing to sell, you got to give them the best box possible. So they had to change that shit. They had to change it. They had to. That's just the way that it is, right? To market this thing properly, they had to change it. And I get it. It's a lot easier to change the booster box because it's the last thing that you do, right? Than it is to change the packs because they probably already have the cards printed and packed in the packs. And then they pack those into the boxes. It's like the last step, right? Other than sealing the box. So makes sense that they could change that, but they couldn't change the packs, unfortunately. But that's just kind of my, feeling on it. I understand that some people are going to say it doesn't matter. It looks worse now, so they should have just left it the way it was. Because some people will argue that the old booster box was okay. It was just the Bigfoot that kind of turned them off. But I still feel the majority thought it was pretty trash. And even they did, right? To the point where they changed it. And to me, I just don't understand how it passed quality control in the first place. Not only Charlie, but everybody else on Team MetaZoo thought this was good enough to put out, right? It just shows incompetency. These people are supposed to have all this experience in the field that are vetted, and this is what they're giving us? They should have asked us like a month ago and polled the community. We could have told them it was wrong. They could have made changes. But they thought they knew what they were doing, right? They thought they knew what we wanted, and this is what they gave us. But at the same time, Charlie said that they would make changes, and he did do that. And I actually have to say, you know what? It's awesome that Charlie did that. You know what I mean? Because it would have been a red flag, like I said in my last video, had it not happened. But I know a lot of people are saying they shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have done it, And it brings up the second point that he was making. Why do the change in the first place, right? Why make this freaking change? Because he argues it actually sets a bad precedent. And this basically opens up the floodgates for the loonies to run the asylum. And then anytime they scream or bitch, they're going to make changes. But I just don't agree with that, right? Because it was the mass majority. It was the overwhelming majority that thought this thing was shit. It wasn't a few people like myself screaming into an echo chamber, hoping that they make changes, stomping our feet and crying and screaming. It wasn't just a few of us. It was the mass majority, right? And if you don't want your TCG to listen to you, then go collect Pokemon. Because that's just what you're going to get from any other TCG. But if it's an indie TCG, it's a smaller one, especially if it's just starting out, they should listen to you, and that's what he did. So I got to give props on that, right? Even though, yes, it kind of led to this situation that sucks because outside of them delaying, we're just going to get mismatched products now, but it is what it is, It is what it is. But I still have to be thankful that they made these changes because it shows that they're listening to the community, and I'd rather they listen than not listen at all. So I don't really understand that argument, but it is what it is. Another thing he argued was the fact he believes the old Cryptid Nation 1 booster box was actually kind of shitty. But I just don't agree with that either, right? I was actually polling people on Argos' Discord, and right now I think it's 8-8, with some people saying it's amazing and the other people saying it's all right. One person saying that it was shitty. because I love that design. You know what I mean? I love the composition, the cryptids all together, and the colors, and the fact that they have different details. Like they actually show some of the cards you can pull in the box on the back. I absolutely love that aspect of it. And I also love the fact that they have some of the cryptids that you can pull in the set stacked up along the flaps when you open the box itself. So you actually want to display one of these open and sealed on a shelf, in my personal opinion, because there's a lot of those cool details that the new booster box is just completely lacking, unfortunately, right? That's just my opinion on it, but I love those booster boxes, and it seems a lot of other people did too.
Oh my God, you are one sexy motherfucker!
The other thing he mentioned was the fact that MetaZoo put out a lot of sets where it was just one cryptid on the box. You know what I mean? Like Nightfall just had Mothman, and UFO just had Flatwoods, and, Wilderness had Bigfoot, and so on and so forth. My opinion, I wish they would have put multiple cryptids on all the boxes. I think it would have made them even better. But you got to understand something. This one just looks like Wukong Zoo to me, right? Because it's the base set. You're introducing people to the world of MetaZoo. It should have multiple cryptids on the box. That's just the reality of it, right? That's what you should do for the very first set that you put out. And that's why we're arguing that it just looks like Wukong Zoo at this point in time. Not the fact that there's just one cryptid on there. If this was like the second set, the third set they're putting out, that's fine. I get it. But since it's the first set, the very initial set that you're introducing people to the world, it should have multiple cryptids on it. And they did that with the first box, but obviously it's just poorly done. And now they come out with just Wukong, and they're putting all their eggs into one basket with Wukong, and be able to blow up in Asia and stuff. I get it's a very big character. He's in a lot of different video games and stuff. Me personally, never even heard of this thing until they literally introduced it in MetaZoo. But I know there's some people that say they never heard of Mothman before MetaZoo 2, and that's kind of crazy. But Mothman was kind of underused, underappreciated, and then after MetaZoo used it, it kind of blew up after the fact. You know what I mean? Monkey King has already been huge. It's all over the place already, so I'm not sure if it's going to actually do favors for them or not. Now that they're kind of using it as the new mascot for MetaZoo, I don't know. Mothman's on the back of the box still, which is fine, but they're kind of replacing the mascot as well. So I don't know how that's going to work out for him, but that's just my opinion why I believe they should have multiple cryptids on the box. I know he was arguing one is fine, you're idiots, because the MetaZoo was doing that as well. But it's like, yeah, they were doing it with the other sets. They came after base set, but this is the base set. You're introducing people to the world. It should have multiple cryptids on it. That's my opinion, but that's the way I feel about it. But yeah, guys, I mean, that's pretty much what he mentioned. There's a few other things, but those are the things I wanted to talk about the most that I think warranted the discussion. But love to hear your guys' thoughts on this as well. And until next time, peace out. Yo, hold up, y'all. There's a goddamn penis on this box. I know we all should be adults, but...
Oh my God, it looks like a huge...
Pecker!
Oh, where?
Wait, that's not a woodpecker. It looks like someone's...
Privates! We have reports of an unidentified flying object. It is a long, smooth shaft, complete with two balls.
All you need are balls to succeed on balls. All you need are balls. All you need are balls to succeed on balls. All you need are.
For some reason, I don't know why, just kind of sit around all day and draw pictures of dicks.
What?
Draw pictures of dicks.
Dicks? Like a man dick?
Yeah, like a man dick.